Thank you for that introduction, and I'm Emily Kolbe, and I'm a horticulture major at the University of Wisconsin River Falls. And I'm conducting research this summer in conjunction with Dr. David Zlezak, who is my advisor. And we are conducting research on the determination of Rosa hybrida floral part counts based on time of season and flower number. So to introduce my topic, so the real reason why I chose this topic is because after I finish my bachelor's degree, I plan to go on to graduate school to major in breeding and genetics, and eventually after that, go on to a career in ornamental flower breeding. And so this topic really starts to set the stage for answering a crucial question, which is how the effect of the season and just nature in general affects the flower formation and just the flower part in general of flowers that are planted out in the landscape. So a little bit of background information for those of you who don't almost have a bachelor's degree in plants. So for this project, I'm counting the petals, which everyone knows, of course, the anthers, which is the top of the stamen or the male reproductive part of a flower, as well as the pistils, which is the primary female reproductive part of a flower. And I'm seeing the determination of the difference between those three components between the primary flower, which is usually the largest, first to open, as well as the secondary flower, which branches off of the primary flower, and the tertiary flower, which branches off of the secondary flower in the clusters that are formed when roses bloom. So the hypothesis for my project is that as the time of season progresses, the difference between the petals, anthers, and pistils counts between the primary, secondary, and tertiary buds will become more significantly separated in the flowers. So the research design is primarily to aid future rose breeders and floriculturists, since there really isn't a lot of information on this topic currently. And also the design is to project the pattern of flower size and pollen viability throughout the flowering season. And for those of you who may be concerned with the photo, that is actually a blown up picture under a microscope of viable rose pollen, which may look very similar to a certain pest that we're trying to avoid, but I can promise you that it's completely harmless. So currently, since my research is in progress right now, I have collected the first of 3 data selections from the season, and I'm doing my data collections on 5 different varieties of Rosa hybrida. These are roses that are grown naturally in the landscape at the Lyndale Park Rose Garden in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the 5 varieties that I'm choosing to do my work on is Cherry Frost, Polar Express, Carefree Beauty, and Kiss Me, which are for floribunda roses. And the 5th variety is Sven, which is a polyantha rose. And the reason why I chose these 5 is because they have a diverse genetic background, as well as flowering in that cluster formation, which you can see in several of the photos. And throughout my research, I'm doing 5 repetitions of each of the varieties to make sure that I have a variety of data collections. So far, since I've only taken 1/3 of my research collections, I can't really say anything on my hypothesis being correct or not as of yet. And so I will be collecting the mid-season and late-season data collections as the summer progresses. And so what I will be doing with those collections is interpreting the data and seeing if it will prove or disprove my hypothesis. And really what I'm looking for as far as the data interpretation is the graph you see above on the slide, which is the pistil count from Carefree Beauty from my first data collection, in which you can see on the box and whisker plots, the X's show the average number of the pistils as the flower count increases from the first to the second and increasing seconds from the left to right. And you see that there's that nice downward sweeping curve, and that's really what I'm looking for to prove my hypothesis. So to conclude, this research will help to aid future horticulturists and floriculturists. And this data will also help to predict the viability of pollen and the size of flowers as the season progresses from the beginning to middle to end. And will my hypothesis be correct? That is as to yet be determined. So I'd like to acknowledge the UW River Falls McNair program for funding my research this summer. I would also like to thank Dr. David Zlizak for advising me in my research and also helping me to think of the idea. I would like to thank the Lyndale Park Rose Garden for allowing me to use their landscape roses for my data collection. And finally, I would like to thank the WiSys Systems, Spark Symposium, and all of you who are here today for allowing me to present my research to you. Thank you.